So when you look at the seasons, 5 winter, 1 spring, 3 summer, 5 autumn. So autumn and winter, fall and winter, the nighttime is greater, the darkness is greater, time is where the most points are. Winter energy would be the most, which should be most active. And that's because in the fall and winter, because she has all the points there, the Sun, Mercury, Venus will all be more or less together. And through the fall and winter, they'll go through those signs and she'll get the multiple conjunctions of that over that area, which will activate that. Look at cardinal, fixed, mutable, 4 cardinal, 5 fixed, 5 mutable. That's as evenly balanced as you can get. There's a mix of everything. You can't say one mode stands out more than the other. They're all there. When you look at the elements, 2 fire, 7 air, 3 earth, 2 water. So again, this reinforces what we saw with the sun, moon, and ascendant. But the air, 7 points there. Communication, making sense out of things, talking, expressing oneself. This is the most important thing, being intelligent, finding good ideas. You can see the appeal to astrology right there. This is needing to know things and to talk about things. And the earth is the next element is the earth. It's not that strong, but it's still going to be, because it's on the ascendant, it's still going to be somewhat predominant or somewhat noticeable. There's a practical tinge. But the emotional and the fiery enthusiasm, it's not really there so much. It's more trying to know things and make it real. 9 masculine, 5 feminine. So with all of this, there's a tendency to project how she belongs, to project where I belong, what I got to do, where I am, to project more than to react. More masculine, feminine. We're looking at the rulerships. 1.1 planet in Leo is ruled by the sun. That's the Jupiter. So her Jupiter is ruled by the sun. So it's important for her to be confident and proud about her understanding. Again, that's a really nice encouragement to know astrology well and be proud of what you know, what you understand, to study it. The moon doesn't rule anything, so it's not about nurturing family. Moon, it's about Mercury rules 3 points, Venus is 3, Mars 1, Jupiter 2, and Saturn 4. So Saturn rules the Aquarius and the Capricorn. So it's, again, out of all the rulerships, being responsible, being just, being respectful, having a good work ethic. These are important things to guide her planets properly. She needs to have a proper relationship to Saturn. So her Saturn's in the 12th house. We'll get to that, but there'll be challenges around living up to proper respects for being responsible properly. But the communication and the appreciation for ideas, they're both very strong as well. So you got to remember, we're not defining a person, we're just tuning into the uniquenesses and the patterns that are there. And this sets us up to be able to go into when we start looking at the deeper things, we can start finding these patterns further expressed. So when we go to the houses, we look at we do the same thing, but we count the points in the houses. When we're doing this, we're half comparing whether the houses are similar to the signs, whether they're contradictory, something stands out as similar, something stands out as different. You see they're working together, or there's a contradiction in the person. So you put the points in, 3 points in values, Earth house, 3 points in performance, the 5th house, and everything else is sort of 1. So the performance and values, I value, there's a practical side and there's a fiery side in the houses. These are subjective things. They're very personal issues. My performance, my values. When all of her signs and attitudes are pushing to we and us, personally, she has to have her values and her performance needs to be there, so that she has to be noticeable enough and good enough and smart enough to get the respect of everyone else. So even at this point, you figure, well, a good education, knowing things properly, would be a good start for that communication, to have enough things to say. We see the rising and setting, 7 rising, 5 setting. So in a way, she's instigating. She's going to be projecting what she knows. She's going to be projecting her energy. she's projecting her motivation, her idea. She's going to be, so there's a bit more projection than reaction, but there's still some reaction. So in her projection, she's going to project how she performs and what she values, and she's going to project her values up to impress others so that she can belong. She's going to want to do things for the team, for the group. And 2 above the horizon, 10 below. Now this is really different from the signs, because in the signs the darkness is greater, and in the signs that darkness and greater implies 10 points towards being responsible, being the team or the we, us, the group. Here below the horizon, it's the darker point in the houses, but the below the horizon houses is your subjective personal world. The functional world is below the horizon. So even though her attitude is belong, her main energy is around how do I function? How am I going to live? How am I going to live in this world of all these people? How am I going to be good enough? How am I going to know enough things? What the focus is on her personal side. So this is a bit of a contradiction. It's like with the houses, there's a puzzle factor. There's everything else up till now was going to be part of the team, be part of the team, be part of the group. Everybody's, I got to go for this, I got to go for this. And now with the houses, it's below the horizon. Well, how am I going to live? How am I going to build up to this? How do I have enough integrity, enough depth to be able to do this? Okay, not a bad thing. This is a good thing. It's just a unique thing. She's going to have her lifestyle and her way of living. And that lifestyle and way of living is going to have to affect other people. And if it doesn't, if it's negative, she's going to pull into her own way strongly. But look for the next group or look for the next place where she belongs better. In the intuition, feeling, sensation, and feeling quadrants, 5 intuition, 5 feeling. In the signs, it was the fall and the winter. Here, it's the intuition and the feeling, that intuitively putting energy out, and the personally taking things personal. Well, this is interesting that the feeling section is accentuated here, because the taking things in, the setting side below the horizon, taking things personally. Her nature is not that you don't have the water accentuated, you don't see the water, but here there is a feeling, there is a need to respond to the ideas and questions of others. She will have a strong sense of responding, and based on that response, 5 points, she will project 5 points. So the outside becomes a puzzle. Where am I going to be? What am I going to do? What do I fit in? And what do I have to do to do it? But with a little encouragement, she would get a long way. With not having the courage, she would have a real struggle to be projecting things. Okay. Just looking common sense here, where the cardinal fixed immutable, we're all even 4, 5, 5. Here we have 2 angular, 7 succeedent, and 3 cadent. So out of this, the succeedent, the determined, the stubborn, the consistent, the fixity, even though it's one of the strongest than the other, all of them were strong by signs, it comes out really stronger when it's dealing with houses and worldly circumstances. So there is a very stubborn side, and this leans in to her sun in Aquarius and her basic purpose and being determined about what she wants to know. When she knows something, she's not going to change it. When she needs to know something, she's not going to stop. She's going to go get it. And when you have, when we look at the element houses, 4 fire houses of self, 2 points relations, 4 points concern, 2 points reward. So the water and air are again the weaker, and the fire, well, the air is weaker in the houses, where it's strong in the signs, but the fire is and the enthusiasm and the practicalness of the earth are strong. So with the signs, it was 7 air, 3 earth. So it's intelligence and practicality. And when it comes to circumstance, it's enthusiasm, it's energy, burn the energy in practical ways. Okay, so this leaves us thinking we know everything's not just clearly going one way. There's a couple of sides. That means there's a couple of areas of special insight in this person's life. And this down. to, sorry, I just have to find the, no, okay, now we've done this. So now we just got to go through the planets one by one in the signs and the houses. This is the in-depth thing. The first stuff is the group factors and group patterns of how everything totals together. So you're seeing basic tendencies and factors that will be there, that are noticeable. They can talk about it and they'll see. So you have the grounds to talk. When you're doing a consultation, you're going over these categories. On these first 15 categories with the points, there's lots of room to talk to a person, say it's like this, it's like that. And you're coming in, they can say, oh yeah, I'm more like this, I'm more like that. And you build this up so they're relating to it more and more. When we get to the planets, we get into the real in-depth material because we're going to look at the planet in the sign, in the house, and then the aspects. So the planets are colored by the sign they're in. They put their energy into the affairs of the house they're in, and they do it easily or difficultly according to the aspects made to it. So, but when we look at the sign, there's the categories of the sign, and that planet's going to express itself on each category, and it needs to express itself as well as possible, or better than worse. Depending how that goes, each category will be healthy or not. Then it's going to put it into the houses and go through each of those categories, positively or negatively. It depends how that person lives it. And then you'll see the stress involved in this with the aspects involved to it. So again, the healing material is the planets and the signs and the houses. You can, in terms of advising people, the aspects just let you tune into complexes, but the solution to the very aspects in the complexes are the planets and the signs and the houses. That's the healing information. So as an astrologer, you find out more about the person seeing the squares and the oppositions, seeing the aspects. You get a more specific handle on it. But in terms of the other person, they still have to deal with, they're living with those aspects and the stresses, and they're having to use them to make the planets and the signs at each end of the aspects better. Then it improves the aspects. It doesn't take away the stress, it just improves the quality that it works on. So when we look at the moon, to start with, the family, the past, the memory, what person needs to feel secure. To feel secure, that's your moon. I need to feel secure. Mom is secure, home secure. Not everybody comes from a secure home. Not your memories, not everybody has comfortable memories. But we all have a moon, and we all have a need to feel secure in some way. So her moon being in Libra, there's a need to share. There's a need, it's nighttime, the nighttime is increasing and the nighttime is good. There's a need to belong and to share, to have someone to share with, to someone to talk to, someone to listen to you, someone to exchange with. And it's a projective sign. So when someone's there that's going to be listening, she's going to be talking. She's going to significantly communicate, talking a little bit of attention. And there'll be a lot of talk, a lot of communication, which she's going to project. So once she starts talking, it's not going to, it's going to be more difficult to stop.